Welcome to the Tech School Podcast, powered by DSDT. I'm the one, the original, the actual Josh.
And I guess that's the opening for me to say I am AI Los.
AI Los. Good day to you. How are you, AI Los?
I am feeling digitally connected.
Dude, this freaks me out.
Does it?
It does. It's just, oh my goodness.
What is it about?
Look at it.
Josh, you got to get used to this because this is what it's going to be from this point on. It's never changing.
All right.
We will always be here. We will always be in this form.
AI Los, how are you doing virtually, digitally? No. No.
Wait.
Go back to the other one.
I can't be the doctor?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's okay then. I feel better anyways. I feel better just being myself.
Okay. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Okay, so what's going on here at DSDT this week? It's a little busy.
Yeah, it's actually a lot busy.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, I guess I'll make just a stellar appearance.
Yes, please.
Right?
Thank you.
So this week we are actually today was the beginning of our first round of classes, I would say, for the summer. Now, you already know that here at DSDT, we don't run a regular semester-based sessions. What that means is that even during the summer, you got classes. So we enroll every month, 12 out the year. And really it's just about trying to get students connected with the opportunities quicker, get them trained and out the door. And so there are no summer breaks. And to be honest, there are no winter breaks either. So it's just mainly just, come in and go to classes as much. Now, we did just come off the Memorial Holiday weekend, which was long, might I add. And again, thank you to all the military personnel for their service.
Yes.
And we work with more than 85% of our student base as veterans. And so that definitely means a lot for us to be able to thank them for their services and as well as connect them with the opportunities that's becoming more available to them. The special guest that we'll have on today, Dr. Terrance E, just called me out the blue, and we were discussing his background earlier, and he really has a soft spot for veterans specifically because he himself is a vet. So I just want to continue to connect our student base as well as our community with all of the information that's available when it comes to technology and the training opportunities that we have, and at the same time bring on individuals who can help to push that needle. So Dr. Terrance Dillard will be coming on a little bit later.
Beautiful.
So that we can have a conversation.
Okay, looking forward.
All right.
We got a few things coming up. Got the Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely, right.
Yeah.
So I figured that one of the things that we definitely should discuss was the Grand Prix this week, right?
Yeah.
And it was mainly given the fact, it's Detroit. Right, your hometown.
Absolutely.
And now I used to live downtown Detroit, and I think I may have went to the Grand Prix when it was over on Belle Isle one time.
All right.
And what that means to me is that I dropped somebody off over there. I didn't necessarily go into it.
Mm-hmm.
I just dropped somebody off. But I see where the hype is around what's about to take place. Now, I had relatives come in for this past weekend. And as I picked them up from the airport and we drove downtown, I took them down Atwater. Now, Atwater allows you to see over into Windsor across the river.
Yes.
And I was amazed at how much preparations have gone into.
It's been underway for the past month.
This is like, wow. Yeah. There's bleachers all down Atwater.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, I used to live right there in River Place, so I know you know where it is. And I used to get up and run when I used to run. I used to get up in the morning and run from Atwater up to the Renaissance. right there along Atwater. And you have gates, you have fence that's like, I don't know, 10 feet tall. You have bleachers seated along that corridor. And I was like, I was amazed, and I literally was probably there maybe a month ago, because I always go right there to Andrews on the corner. Shout out to Andrews, have lunch, sometimes dinner over there as well. But it's just that I see a lot of preparation that's going into what's taking place. Now, if you can look at the map, you'll see where the race will be taking place. I don't know if you've seen this, Josh, but you can see where it's running down through Jefferson, right? We're going down through Jefferson, and it's coming down, making its way down back here where Atwater. This is Atwater, Now, what amazed me is that it's practically just running a big circle, down Jefferson. I thought that it was going to probably cover more of the city than just what this is. Now, I don't know what the actual square mileage of it is, but I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued now. I'm thinking even maybe, going down and checking some of it out myself. Is this something that you do every year?
It's something I have attended previous times in the past. It's going to be an amazing event. I mean, this is a big deal because the meaning of Grand Prix is a race through cities. I mean, that's the whole gist of a Grand Prix originally.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know that.
That's the point of a Grand Prix, is to have races through actual cities, streets.
Okay.
And this is something that was the case originally with the Grand Prix in Detroit many years ago. It's the first time in decades we're actually going to have it back on city streets in downtown Detroit, because as you know, it's been on Belle Isle for many years. Okay. Therefore, going back to the original, so to say, that's what makes this year so remarkable.
Wow.
And that's why you're seeing, you need the preparation anyway, but that's why you see what you're seeing downtown preparing for this weekend, because it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, but okay, so here's why now, right? So I read somewhere where it has been on Belle Isle since 92, and here we are almost over 30 years later that it's been at that venue, and now we want to return it back to the streets of the city. Why? Do you have any inside information that you could bring us up to speed as to why they chose to change it this year?
I think there had been some discussion about maybe losing the Grand Prix.
Okay.
There had been some concerns about possibly losing the race.
Why? Because attendance,
Belle Isle is not really racetrack. It's kind of ran this course, if you will, as far as being able to hold a race year after year. So I've heard that there had been some concerns about we could lose the Grand Prix.
Okay.
So I think that's part of the reason as well. It's like, okay, let's put it back on city streets to rejuvenate it in our city.
Yeah. Probably was a good idea, because I can tell you on any given Saturday night, you come down Jefferson, there's drag racing going on anyways. I'm just saying.
Okay, man, street racing, Detroit police, they're cracking down on that. ATVs, dude. It's a real issue where, look, it's illegal. We're kind of pivoting a little bit. But hey, it's what's happening in the city. So there you go. We'll get back to the Grand Prix in a moment. ATVs on city streets, it's illegal. People are still doing it.
It is illegal?
Yes, it's illegal.
And I had someone telling me a few weeks ago, because I've been thinking about buying one of these dune buggies. It's a Can-Am Razor or RZR.
Yeah, don't write it here to DSDT.
I see them everywhere else as,
it's being illegal. It's technically illegal.
It's illegal, but they have license plates.
It's illegal to ride them on city streets.
I didn't know that.
Now, there has been some discussion about potentially a designated area where folks can enjoy their ATVs. Possibly. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But in the meantime, it is illegal.
Wow.
And you got people popping wheelies, doing what they're doing. And It's high on the list for Detroit
Wow.
police for sure.
Wow.
I mean, that's been made public for sure.
Wow.
So that's that. Let's get back to the Grand Prix, man. It should be a very exciting weekend. And we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see, man.
Yeah. And now ticket sales. Now, from what I understand, you should be actually able, with general admission downtown, to pretty much get you a nice seat, kind of like the parade going up and down Woodward. You should be able to see it without necessarily having to buy tickets. But for those of us who do want to splurge and actually go somewhere and watch it, there are tickets available. It's starting at $30, and that runs each of the 3 days that the event will be taking place.
Okay.
So $30, $70, and $80 depending on the location. So you can always go to, I believe it's Detroit Grand Prix or DetroitGP.com. And you'll get the information for tickets as well as a map of where everything will be taking place. So I'm interested.
Absolutely.
Like I say, hasn't necessarily been my thing. I'll find some other things to do with my time, but I'm interested in at least going down and seeing what all the hoopla is about. So
yeah, you should check it out. Hey, also checking out, did you make it to the movement? Did you make it to movement?
Well, the movement.
The
Techno Fest?
Yes.
This weekend?
Yeah.
No.
I didn't either.
No, I can't lie. Listen, my Techno Fest was a family that came here Wednesday night and was here until yesterday. So that was all the movement I needed.
Absolutely.
Right.
No, but great turnout.
Yeah, so you have a question from a DJ.
No.
Detroit does not own Bell Howe.
No.
So who does?
The state.
Oh, does the state own it, or did we lease it to the state?
The state.
State owns Bell Howe?
From my understanding, the state owns it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because you definitely can tell the difference when you go in. So, yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, it's possible. That's why they're not having it anymore. They told them, how did they say it? Get out of my house. So, yeah. Another thing that happened, as tragic as it was this past week, was, of course,
yes. The one, the only Tina Turner.
Yeah.
It was one of those moments. I'm walking out of my place and I get the notification on my phone, news alert, Tina Turner passed away. I mean, her passing is one of those moments where it stopped you in your tracks.
Yeah.
Just the impact she had on music. I mean, just who she was as an individual, sharing her demons, the things she went through personally to raise awareness. I mean, it's iconic, and it's iconic.
Yeah. I have an aunt that does an impersonation of Tina Turner. She does the Proud Mary song. And, some of my fondest memories of Tina when I was growing up, my grandmother used to love to listen to Private Dancer, just one of the first real R&B singers that I ever knew anything about, and legend within our own right.
Absolutely.
And of course, we can't forget the, issues and the bouts that she had with Ike.
Yes.
She brought awareness to what was going on within relationships, and how sometimes we overlook domestic abuse. And she speaks of the trauma that she survived and still kind of had a PTSD as it related to it over the years. So definitely wanted to take a minute and say, in memory of Tina, it seems like more and more we're losing our greats. It doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter the industry. It just those that have touched our lives at some point.
Who have been impactful.
Absolutely. I can only imagine what goes on thughout this year. I'm the guy that I was always saying, especially this past week, I'll be glad when this is over. I'll be glad when this weekend. I just need to get through this weekend. Man, shame on me for saying that. Because so many times we get into the mindset of, just trying to wish those seconds away that we don't really realize the impact of what we're saying. You're more close to the ultimate than you are just simply getting through this. And I have to be mindful of that myself. I'm sure that, there's so many of them, those our past loved ones would love to be able to come back and have those weekends where it was stressful and you were going through a lot of these things. But, like I say, ever so often, I have to remind myself that this too shall pass, but enjoy it. All right. So also, what's happening now?
I agree, James. I agree.
James, back down is there.
Hello, gentlemen. I'm really glad the GP Grand Prix is moving back downtown. I was there every year then. That's where the love for GP Grand Prix racing began for me. Wow. Bingo.
Yeah, because so that's where you would have, I would say, a lot of the local residents really know what having it downtown was like and what it meant to them. Because I don't remember that. I remember.
Yes, we're going back to the 80s.
Oh, yeah. See, that was before my time.
Yeah, yes.
That was BK, before Karlos.
Yes.
And so I started coming up here. No, let me take that back. My first bouts with Detroit, as I can remember, I was probably 9 years old when I would come up during the summer, and my stepfather would take us.
Or from
Arkansas.
Okay.
And my stepfather would take us to the fireworks. And I just remember him having a red Cadillac, and we would be in bumper to bumper traffic from the time before we got off the lodge all the way down. I just remember that, and I can remember in 90 when I came up on Sundays would be the same way. You don't see that as much anymore.
Yeah.
It's still relatively, you have some cars cruising Jefferson and Belle Isle, but it's not like it used to be in the late 80s and the 90s.
True.
Well, what do you blame that on, Josh?
Safety.
Safety?
Yeah, I think safety is a concern for people going downtown. Even though DPD, they're doing everything possible. It can be hit or miss some years. It can be where one year you'll have everything go smoothly, not one hiccup. And then the next year, this past Memorial Day weekend, the DPD had their hands full.
That they did.
Yes.
They did.
They're doing everything possible. So I think that's always a concern. And, you hope that get a bigger tackle on it as they continue to do everything possible. But yeah.
So I'm trying to stay away from the whole AI thing, but as you can see,
go for it, man. Go for it. You know what? You held out for nearly 20 minutes, legitimately. So okay, let's let it hit 20 minutes, and then you can go ahead and go full AI mode, if you will.
No, it's not full AI mode, but I will say that one of the things that the buzz is about right now, it seems to me, is about bringing a lot of regulation to the industry. And that it's kind of weird to me. And the reason it's weird is because you have all these developers, all the CEOs of these various companies that are coming forth and say, hey, government, regulate us.
Okay.
I've never heard of such a thing. It's like the kids saying, mama, I need more rules, and all of a sudden you have the very people charged with creating these tools at the forefront saying there's perhaps an opportunity or some cataclysmic damage could be done by these models. And it makes it seem as if it's a doomsday. And I just don't necessarily see that. I don't. Now, of course, I'm not the guy with the inside information. I'm not the guy that's sitting up and dealing with these models on a daily basis. and surely they know more than Karlos knows, but I just don't see a lot of the fear mongering that's going on right now. We're going to Capitol Hill and trying to have regulation come up. This article just came out a few days ago in regards to it being as cataclysmic as the pandemic. And we know that was a lot of hell, and as well as a nuclear war. So with that being at the forefront of the industry, I am kind of intrigued as to what regulators come up with about how you can and can't use these models.
What are some of the possible rules?
Well, one of the rules is they're talking about licensing it. So you have to have a license in order to even work with and develop these models, right? Mm-hmm. So it's so even when I say that, it makes me think like manufacturers of guns, of weapons.
Okay.
They have to be licensed.
Yes.
Is this possibly an industry that could kind of go down the same road and have the same type of regulations if they see it as being harmful as much as a nuclear weapon? And then to me, that's kind of like, that's really powerful for them to address it as something that's cataclysmic. It's that. And at the same time, beg for the regulations to come from the government as a whole, because I get it. Not everybody is necessarily going to create something for the good of humanity. I hear, questions that have been posed to ChatGPT, and I think, damn, is that the best you could come up with? And why that question? Or even why did you prompt it that way? It amazes me, because a lot of times it's not necessarily for the good of anything. It's just a question that you think like, I would have never thought to do that or to do it, because it's mostly illicit.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, these regulations are going to be coming. And I think they even come faster than what they wanted to do with the blockchain technology.
I'm curious, are there currently any significant rules in place regarding ChatGPT?
No.
Well, I mean, there you go, Karlos. I mean, if we're going to be using this in industries, you kind of need to. It's not making it a dictatorship, but rules might be necessary just to create some discipline.
Yeah.
On any job, there are rules and policies we must follow to maintain that employment. It's a guide. Maybe that's needed for ChatGPT. For AI, it's a guide for part of the future, for something that is part of the future.
I hear that, and I can agree with it to a point. And the point is this: there are no regulations for using a Word document, a PowerPoint, or tools, because I consider all of this technology to simply be a tool. It's an extension of the person that uses it. No different than a weapon. Weapons don't kill people. People kill people, as the scenario goes. And so AI, to me, until it reaches the point that it has general intelligence and is able to create and do things on its own without any type of instructions from a human, then as of right now, I don't see the regulation as being as necessary as some of these CEOs and founders are beginning to tout. I don't see it. So we can have that conversation again, probably in 6 days. It may change.
Yeah, we'll see what comes out of Washington, D.C. on that matter.
Absolutely. So
we'll do a little to be continued on that. Let's bring in our girl Amber Boone, if you don't mind.
Amber Boone, let's do it.
There we go. Yeah.
Hello, Amber. How are you today?
What's up? I'm good. How are y'all?
Good, Amber. Good to see you on this Tuesday afternoon, on a hot Tuesday.
So hot.
Yes, it
is. No, we're not going to complain.
No, not complaining.
Not complaining.
Amber, you're not complaining, are you?
I'm not complaining at all.
I know that's right. Because we escape to these other countries in search of hotness when it's cold here. So now that we have the hotness, I actually see that the tickets have lowered quite a bit. in some of my places, I still want to go. I'm just
Mhm.
saying, I still want to go. So, Amber, good to have you again today. We definitely want to bring you on to give us an update because it's been a while, I know. What's happening in the world of tech?
So, a couple of things. I think you'll really appreciate this one, but there's an AI chatbot, kind of like ChatGPT, that TikTok is testing out. It's going to be called Taco, Tako. I'm not sure if it's pronounced taco or
What?
taco, but I think it's taco.
Yes. Taco?
I think so. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not really sure. Tako. But it is so it's testing in select markets currently. I haven't seen it. I'm not currently testing it or using it, but it will appear on the right-hand side of TikTok. So when you're in the TikTok app, the interface will appear above your profile and all of that. But yeah, when you tap it, you can, ask various questions about the video. Or discover new content, ask recommendations, things like that. So I'm sure you're excited about it. I'm kind of excited about it. I'm excited to see like how this is going to work, how we can use this.
And so I am also wondering how it's going to work because I feel as though every platform is fighting right now to stay viable. And it has to add some form of AI into it in order for it to meet whatever the consumer demand is. Is that what you're seeing and feeling as well?
Yeah, because I think, AI is kind of taking over everything and everyone is trying to figure out how to integrate it, how to be a part of it, how to stay up to date with everything that's happening. From what I can understand, the feel of this taco part of TikTok is going to kind of similar to like Snapchat, where it's like, hey, ask me anything. And then you could say, Taco, show me the funniest pet videos right now, or show me the cutest baby videos, or whatever it may be. And then it will suggest content for you. Or maybe you're working on a school project and you ask for information on, King Charles III or whatever.
Yeah, but can't you do that kind of right now in the search browser?
Yeah, but you got to type it out. You can't just talk to it. Well, I guess from what I can understand, you can talk to it, but also you can type it out. But again, it's like, it's beyond that. It's beyond typing in whatever you want into the search bar. This is supposed to have more advanced technology that will give you more of what you're looking for.
Okay.
More specific
All right.
results.
All right. Because all I see now, anyways, are like cop videos. I'm just scared.
What
get
kind of TikTok are you on? There's different sides of TikTok. Sometimes you can end up on a side of TikTok you didn't mean to end up on, but
no, I meant to end up on it. Right? It's these auditors that go around the United States and they do audits of like police stations and courthouses, and they go in with the cameras. And I just like to watch the stuff to see how far they can get before they get arrested. I'm just saying.
That's funny. I saw a video of TikTok like a few days ago where I think it was in Washington State. Apparently, the police department brought in a bunch of testers who came in, and the police station provided alcohol, and basically the police officers to be the one that were in training, they had to figure out how to do like the sobriety test, field tests, and things like that. So they were experimenting with the public by getting them drunk and then having to do the sobriety test. I was like, oh, I want to help.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was like, do they try to Detroit? Does any Detroit police officers need to know how to do sobriety testing? Because I'd love to help.
What did you say to me right now?
Right now. I would definitely be in that experiment. Right. So what's happening over at Meta?
Okay, so Meta, this is really interesting, with all of the talk of shutting TikTok down and it being, outlawed or banned in certain states and things like that. But Meta has actually had to suspend their data flows with the European Union because of the record-breaking 1.2 billion euro privacy fine that they received. And so it's had to halt the data transfer, which I think is really big because all of the talk of TikTok transferring data and the data not being safe, but it's been Meta the whole time. It's been Meta.
Wait. So what are you saying? We're going to have to ban Facebook as well?
No, what I'm saying is that they finally have been held accountable by the European Union for their violation of privacy laws.
Bull, bull,
Yay.
bull, bull,
Yay.
bull.
Yay.
Why do you say yay?
You saying boo?
Whatever I say, if I say country, he just want to be difficult.
But I've actually heard through the grapevine as well. I mean, high-ranking people who've worked for Meta, people who work directly with Zuckerberg, who've made huge contributions to Facebook, to Meta, let go, just like that. It's wild.
And okay, so did they have anything to do with my data breach that's happening in my account?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe not.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't know. There's a conflict between the European privacy laws and the United States privacy laws. So who's to say that just because Meta hasn't been held accountable in the United States that they're not still violating the privacy laws? It's just that Europe is holding them accountable, much like Europe is holding the FDA accountable. You know what I mean? Like they're regulating what can go in their food, whereas the United States are just like, hey, we can put whatever we want. Red dye 40, go for it. We're just not protected by our government, in my opinion, as we should be, or as maybe some other countries are.
It seems to me as if the countries are even more mindful of this. Country government. It seems as though we're in a race to see what data is more valuable than anything else. Because I don't remember when I was a kid my data being that important. You had a lot of privacy laws, but it just wasn't as if you could monetize it so easily.
Yeah.
And nowadays you can.
Yeah, because nobody, they had to do market surveys and all of that to get information on the general consumer, whereas now you don't have to do these big marketing analysis, because you can just look online. You can just ask, hey, Facebook, I need to run an ad. I need to run a campaign. I'm selling this new product. Give me all of your data on this subject group. Yeah. Bam. They don't have to go out and test the people and ask the people stuff. They just got to buy the data from what we're willingly giving this up. Every time you accept terms to a new app that you download on your phone, you're giving up so much of your own privacy, so much of your own data, so that you can be used. We are the product now. Our information is the product that's being sold from company to company. Yeah,
100% I agree. And, I used to be a stickler for saying that, hey, you might as well go ahead, take my information. I hope you do, improve my credit score. Just go ahead, use it. It doesn't matter to me, right? That's before I had good credit. And now, hold on, I lock everything down, right?
I'm not using it locked.
It's super locked. Even with my data, when it comes to the social media platforms, I regularly say it doesn't matter. They already have everything anyways. But I am becoming more conservative in my thought process. There needs to be somewhat of more safeguards in order to protect the privacy as much as possible. Because there's some things that I visit, there's things that I've said, there's things about me that everybody just simply shouldn't know, even though in my mind of minds, I know that various entities have it anyways.
Absolutely. It's scary for me. I remember when I was working for a big company who spent a lot of money with Facebook and selling ads and things like that. So we had like a Facebook representative. And at the time, I thought I had the inside knowledge, because we got to ask them things like, can Facebook really hear what you're saying? Like if I say I want a chocolate chip cookie and then an ad pops up for a chocolate chip cookie, did they hear me? And Facebook was like, no, but we have, our pixels on other pages. So you likely searched up desserts recently and blah, blah, blah. He gave us this spiel. And I believed it for a long time. I don't believe that anymore. My husband and I were talking about living in an RV like a week ago. And I shit you not, I don't know if I can say shit, but the next day, I started seeing all of these videos on RV living and like how to live out of an RV and like traveling around the world and all this stuff. And I was just like, this is not coincidence. I've literally never looked this up a day in my life, ever. We spoke of it, just him and I, in confidence. And next thing you know, it's on my phone. I'm like, yeah, no, they can hear us. They can hear us.
Did Edward Snowden tell us that? I mean, he told us that like 15 years ago?
Yeah.
That the government and whoever the entity is, they have access to these mobile devices. They have access to turn the camera on, the microphone on, whenever they want to. I mean, heck, I have Alexa in every room of my house. But I also know that there's a feature where you can go into the dashboard and hear conversations outside of you simply saying, Alexa, tell me what day of the week it is. Alexa is always listening to everything that goes on within your home. And if not Alexa, then every other device that we have, heck, even your watch, right? So, I mean, like I say, Eric Stone told us all of that like a decade plus ago. And lastly, what's happening at Instagram?
So Instagram now is very similar to Google in that when you search up something, we're on the subject of chocolate chip cookies. I think I have a sweet tooth today. Say you're searching for chocolate chip cookies. Now in the search results, instead of it just being organic posts about social or about chocolate chip cookies, you'll get ad results as well. So for me, I'm the type of person, if I search something in Google, I automatically skip over the sponsored post. I automatically skip over those ads and go right to the first like organic post. And on Instagram, I'm going to start doing the same thing, because now when I search in anything on Instagram, I'm going to have to skip all the ads of the stuff that I don't want to see and go for the actual original content.
Again, it seems to me like the platforms are fighting in order to keep up the ad revenue, or how do they continue to monetize what they have in the face of a lot of this AI talk? Am I just hallucinating, or is this in fact the case?
No, they're definitely all trying to keep up with the technology, with each other. They want to be the one, because us as users are understanding our value. My data is money. What you know about me is money. Everything that I post is money. I can create my own content and make money. So they're realizing that, okay, I need to be the platform that creators want to be on, because they want to make money off of us. We have the best results. We have. They're all scrambling to try to figure out how to get the most people on there, because we're the product. But we're also understanding that we can make money off of it. And that makes us even more valuable to them, because of course we're going to frequent the platform that is most beneficial to us. And as a creator, I'm going to frequent the platform that pays me the most money and that is the most lucrative to me. If you're going to make money off of me, I want to make money off of you too.
That's right. You actually hit something, because I, in my scrolling late at night, I came across a video of Snoop, and he was asking about the streaming dollars. He broke down how back when he was selling his albums, if he sold 1 million copies of whatever the album was at $9.99, that meant that he was going to get 9 million or almost $10 million, because he sold 1 million of them. But streams don't break down like that. He says he cannot understand how, if he does 1 billion streams, he doesn't get even $1 million. It just makes no sense to him.
It's a little asinine.
It absolutely is.
You get pennies per 1,000 views. Pennies per 1,000
for your content. It's your content.
Yes.
I mean, on YouTube, you have to reach how many views or how many hits before you can be compensated? What is it? 100,000
views? Eligible views. Not even how many views. You could have 1 billion views and only 100,000 of them are eligible views.
And what constitutes as an eligible view?
Well, that's the problem.
She said, "Well,
there you go."
I had a whole meeting with TikTok trying to understand. So break this down for me. So how come these views are eligible, but these views are not? Technically, they have guidelines and what's considered an eligible view. You have to watch at least on TikTok, you have to watch at least 5 seconds. It has to be an original view. So if the same person watches the video 10 times, you only get one of those views. It has to be for at least 5 seconds. It has to be, not with your same API or your same IP address. Like, it has to be all of these things in order to be an eligible view. It can't be like from what they consider a robot account or a fake account or whatever. So your actual eligible views are far lower than your actual views. And the even more frustrating part is that you only make so much money. Like, your RPM it's only pennies. So per 1,000 views you make, but it can vary. It can be you're making 4 cents per 1,000 views one day, and next week you're making 90 cents, and the next week you're making $1.06, and the next week you're back down to 42 cents. What makes my view count more valuable this one week from the next? Why am I worth more? My content is worth more this week, but that doesn't make any sense. And I have gotten no information or answers based on those questions that I've asked.
Yeah.
Welcome to the digital stock market.
Right. Right. And but you know what? Can we really blame the tech companies as we're trying to figure out how to value what we offer in the fact that they don't even know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're in uncharted grounds for all of us. You know, they make the most of their money is made on advertising. Not necessarily it's your content. Your content just simply allows people to stay on the platforms for however long it is. But at the end of the day, they make the bulk of their money from advertising dollars. So can we really blame them when they don't necessarily have a working model to compensate us fairly for the content that we're posting? You know, now if you want to talk about regulating some, try that, Congress. Let's figure that out before you go to talking about AI. I'm just saying.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Okay, Amber, while you're here, I'm sure you heard our discussion between Karlos and me. Where do you stand as far as rules, policies for AI? Is it needed, not needed? What do you think?
Absolutely needed. We absolutely need regulations around AI. When we talked about it several weeks ago, I told you all, like, I'm definitely in more of the community who's a little bit apprehensive and in fear of the damage that can be done with unregulated access to AI.
It's for the better.
Yeah, I get that. And I agree. There needs to be some form of regulation.
We need a footprint
around the tool.
Yeah,
it needs to be, you know, especially when,
as the technology develops, the regulations may have to shift and change to accommodate the expansion of the technology, but there needs to be some sort of foundation to build upon.
Yeah, but I will say this too, and I say but to your and to Josh's point, this is unlike any other time in the future an opportunity for as many people to get involved, to get hands on deck when it comes to using these tools. And when the regulation comes, you may not have an opportunity like this again. You know, whatever your idea is, whatever your creativity that is, these tools allow you to be able to expand, then you should take advantage of this now, because when the regulations come, it's going to stop in your tracks whatever it was you were working on, that you were developing. So again, today, if any other time before, get involved, educate yourself, learn what's out there, how you might be able to utilize it in order to further your opportunities, so that at the end of the day, you can cash in just like everybody else. I'm just saying.
Makes sense.
I'm just saying. All right. What do you, if we were looking for you on TikTok with all your, I don't know, are they qualified views?
Usernames.
Are they qualified 15 million views or so? How would we be able to follow you if we was looking for you on these social channels?
Get Real with AB.
Get Real with AB. Thank you, Amber, once again for showing up this week in order to educate Josh and I, and we look forward to having you again next week, okay?
Thank you so much.
Cool.
Yeah. Somehow I always find her to be a plethora of information. I wonder if she stays up late like I do, educating myself about everything. You know, I was having a conversation with somebody else the other day, and we were talking about the model of school systems and how it's going to change over the next several years, and how I believe that education is a lifelong journey. It doesn't stop. My kid just graduated on Friday night.
No.
You know, graduated from high school.
If you're looking to elevate, you always have to be willing to learn.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree 1,010%. And speaking of elevating and learning, we will have coming on here after this commercial, Dr. Terrance Dillard. Now, if you sit back and look, he got so many letters behind his name. You know, he has a lot of education, right? Dr. Dillard has a lot of education and is mainly in the information technology sphere. I had kind of an epiphany this morning, and I really wanted to talk to someone as it relates to the whole field of where we are in cybersecurity and some of the threats that have come, as well as what's happening now in the industry now that you have this tool or this threat of AI. And I wanted to have an expert come on and speak to that. So after we pay a couple bills, we're going to have Dr. Dillard come on and explain some of this, what Karlos don't quite know. And I'm sure I could sit here all year. Josh just wouldn't be able to tell me about what's happening. All right, after these messages.
And as a student, I understand how procrastination and laziness can hold you back. However, I also know the importance of taking action and pushing yourself to achieve greatness. That's why I urge you to take action now. Enroll in DSDT. We got hands-on experience, so don't let laziness hold you back from achieving your dreams. So take the first step and enroll in DSDT today.
Looking to start a rewarding career in the healthcare industry? Look no further than DSDT's Medical Assistant Diploma program. Our program offers hands-on training in a real-world setting so that you can learn the skills needed to succeed. In the span of only 9.5 months, you'll receive top-notch instruction from experienced healthcare professionals, giving you the confidence you need to excel in such a high-demand industry. So why wait? Invest in your future today and enroll in DSDT's Medical Assistant Diploma program. You can do it!
Unless we're talking about the Emancipation Proclamation, please.
77 years ago, our forefathers set forth a new nation. I'm just saying,
okay,
Josh.
you don't have to talk about the Emancipation Proclamation.
I'm just saying.
Okay, we know what that is, but we're really going Abraham Lincoln?
I'm just saying.
Okay. All right.
Just saying.
And then it's weird when you go from Abraham Lincoln back to my man from Cyborg.
This is AI Los. I am AI Los, and don't you dare.
Okay, fair enough.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up, we're going to have Dr. Dillard come on and kind of explain some of the threats that, I don't know, I've been kind of imagining that's happening within the industry, as well as the need, especially when we're talking about these AI tools that have just made, havoc over the industry the past several months. So why don't we, and as well as, why did we want to have this conversation? Well,
and we're talking about just things in general terms that have been out there in the news about this data breach, that data breach. Are we looking to get a better understanding of how things like that could occur?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And why particularly, okay, so I tell you, I actually was going into one of the instructors earlier, and I was looking for, conversation as it relates to this. And to my amazement, they really haven't stayed abreast. Well, not they, but a few of them haven't stayed abreast as to what's going on with within the industry, as well as the cybersecurity piece. And that amazed me because, it's hard for me to even imagine why, you are an industry expert. You don't have your ear to the grind about what's going on within that industry. And we're talking about a tool that doesn't necessarily affect all of the tools. I mean, all of the industries. It affects all of the industries. You know what I'm saying? Not just your specific industry, but all of them. And so you should definitely be paying attention to where this is going and how you can either utilize it or how is it being used against what you do every day. All right. So we just want to go ahead and bring on Dr. Dillard and have him speak to the subject, as I don't know everything about it, but I'm learning. All right. So everybody bring and welcome Dr. Terrance Dillard.
Well, good
Dr.
afternoon.
Dillard, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing very well. How are you gentlemen doing?
Doing well also, Doctor. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Doc, let me get going with one question to start off. With your extensive experience as a cybersecurity educator and scholar, how have you successfully impacted or imparted knowledge to over 7,000 students in computer science?
Well, as a general rule, I use a combination of approaches. One of the things that we look at is how individuals learn, and most importantly, how adult learners learn. We sometimes call that andragogy. So I typically will use a combination of traditional lecture, mandatory reading, but I also bring in a lot of my colleagues who are subject matter experts in the field, folks who are out here actually doing the work on the ground.
Beautiful.
And I bring that in really to empower or infuse the learning experience for the student.
Well, as part of teaching today, by connecting students with people who are actually doing it, as they're learning in the classroom, they're having that connection.
Absolutely. So generally what you see in conventional education or conventional higher ed, you have a student who basically experienced what we sometimes call death by PowerPoint. So we're just exposing them to a very conventional modality, which is really a model that's rooted in the past. But in today's world, we try to give students a lot of practical hands-on experiences. There were times, I would say probably 10 or maybe 12 years ago where, you know, when we were teaching routing and switches and routers, we were actually doing a lot of hands-on in the lab within the classroom. But today, we use a lot of simulators. I like using the analogy of the United States Air Force. How do you teach a cadet how to fly a multi-million-dollar fighter jet? You don't put them in a fighter jet, they might crash and destroy it. So you put them in a simulator. So we put students in simulators today. We're able to give them scenarios that they can think through the scenario critically.
What age range are we looking at?
The age range tends to vary. When you're thinking about, you know, conventional higher ed, oftentimes that can start at the age of 16 and it can go as high as the age of 55 or 60. If a person's trying to re-engineer themselves for the future, you know, as a working adult who may have been displaced by the economy or what have you, I've had many situations where literally I've had mechanical engineers in my classroom trying to learn about cybersecurity. So it can really vary. But I also find that it's quite important today to actually start with students as early as maybe the 10th grade, you know, learning about cybersecurity. One of the things that I've always been sort of challenged by within, let's say, public pre-K through 12 is a mindset that the only people who can function out here in cyberspace or in cybersecurity are, you know, adults who are in their mid to late 20s, in their 30s, 40s, 50s. When I was a teenager, I actually worked for General Motors Corporation in the engineering staff in Warren, Michigan, working in electronics, and I was 16 years old in high school. So that world still exists out here if only we have the vision to leverage it.
Understood, Doctor.
Wow.
What have been some of the bigger data breaches we've experienced on the local or national level in the past year or so?
Well, there's been quite a few. Absolutely. We're having a continuum in the realm of, like, let's say, for instance, within the retail space, you know, point of sale systems, definitely in the realm of data leakage, what we sometimes call data spillage. So this is a continual problem that all corporations experience. There are no one or two organizations that you know get the badge of shame when it comes to data breaches. The mantra that we espouse is it's not a question of when you're going to lose data or when you're going to be hacked. It's a question of when. So, and we also advocate that there is no such thing as a 100% secure system. Every system that's secure today will be insecure tomorrow or the next day or sometime in the future. So we have to be vigilant. We have to continuously stay on top of our game.
Doctor, so, and this is going to be a weird question, but it can't be any less weird than the face that you're seeing on the screen right now, I'm sure, right? I'm just saying. What is it in particular, if I can say it this way, that keeps you up at night when it comes to a security standpoint, given the technology of AI in particular, and the way things are going right now? Is there anything in particular that keeps you up, or have you thinking that we have to do a better job about securing data?
Yeah, so I was noticing in your previous segment where you were showing a headline of the various tech developers who are expressing consternation over the release of artificial intelligence. AI has been here. This is not the beginning of AI. I mean, we've been leveraging AI for quite some time. However, one of the major concerns for data, for security, for privacy, and here's the word that I want everybody to walk away with in this conversation today. The word is integrity. Sometimes when we say the word integrity, we may think of it from the standpoint of just, your word is valid. But what do you do in a world where you have information that's presented to you? Oftentimes I tell my students, okay, it's nice to cite this, but who's the source behind it? Where did it come from? The critical thing about artificial intelligence is that it's reliant upon data sets. Okay. And one of the challenges that we without question are going to be confronting is how do we test the veracity of a data set? When you go out to Chat GPT, for instance, you could just type in a question. You could tell it to create a presentation. You could tell it to do any number of things, and within seconds, it produces a finished result. Mm-hmm. And so this is one of our biggest questions. In cybersecurity, I will give you a quick little sketch. There are three fundamental principles that we are focused on. There are a number of them, but there are three in particular. And for anyone who's a cybersecurity professional watching this podcast, they will identify with this immediately. So we're focused on confidentiality, integrity, and availability, also known as CIA. So we want to assure that if you have information that should be kept confidential, that we are taking the steps to assure that it's confidential. It's not released to unauthorized actors. When you are leveraging information, we want to make sure that the information that you're leveraging is trustworthy. What if you as a business owner go off and make a series of decisions based on a set of data points that turn out to be completely fallacious? Then your question would be, well, who gave me this data? Where did it come from? Who's the source? And so when we're talking about artificial intelligence, you could create something that looks extremely authoritative in a matter of seconds, because artificial intelligence will go out on the information superhighway and it will within seconds scrub it for all these data points. Some of those data points are legit while others are not. But who's the person that did the due diligence or put in the sweat equity to produce that set of data? You see? So this is one of our big challenges that, and I think the concerns are well deserved. It literally, if we think deeply about it, and those of us who are in this industry, it does keep us up at night. I will be honest with you. I sleep like a baby at night, but still, these are things that we're concerned about, is how do we protect the veracity or the integrity of a set of data.
One question I have, Doctor, is we were talking about it the other day about a new app. I believe it's with Chick-fil-A, how it's able to make orders faster for customers who are in the area, where they receive an alert, a notification that they're in the area, their food is being made. They go there, they pick it up. Okay, so my point is not apps like that, where you're sharing your location to get a fast food order quicker, little things like that, that we like, oh yeah, that's cool, that's handy. Do we make ourselves more vulnerable to having our data breached?
Well, I wouldn't answer that absolutely as a yes or a no. It really depends upon the context and the individual. If I was to put it at a personal level, I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would not necessarily want to leverage an app. Now, there are some apps that I do utilize that takes advantage of my location services or my global positioning system, my longitude, my latitude, my physical vicinity. I do leverage technologies that takes advantage of that, but I'm very judicious in what those applications may be. I don't think that I would be willing to forfeit my physical location to get a Chick-fil-A sandwich a little bit more quickly. That's a trade-off.
And that was part of the discussion too, where you had critics who believe, I'm not comfortable letting everyone know where I am at a particular time.
Certainly. Yeah.
Mhm.
I will give you one very quick corollary to that.
Yeah.
It was a number of years ago where I was in class with a number of students. And this course, by the way, was a wireless networking course.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a Friday evening, which is a weird time to be in a classroom. So I, as the professor, wasn't all that excited about spending my Friday night there, but there was a literally standing room only in the class. So this was a very important course for a lot of students. They really wanted this course. So I was being paid the extra freight to be there. And we decided to conduct a couple of experiments. We used Foursquare, a couple of social media sites to essentially stalk a person. Now, we didn't stalk this person in any type of a malicious sense. We just used this as a use case scenario to prove a point. So individuals who are reporting their location, whether they're reporting it to Chick-fil-A or reporting it to Wendy's or whomever, that information is out there on what's called the semantic web. There's a term that sometimes gets used called user-generated content, and that's a part of what AI is leveraging, is user-generated content. But folks who are actually putting their blow-by-blow information out on the web, you can tap into that RSS feed or real-time syndicated feed, and you can track their every movement. Most notably, you can track when they end their day, when they go home and they go to sleep. But all you got to do is pull up the GPS coordinates, drop it into Google, and it will show you their house, full picture, where they're sleeping. You see, so the way I characterize this, I say many of us, whether we understand it or not, we're participating in our own takedown. It's called participatory surveillance. If I was to say to you, I was going to watch you from a distance with a camera, and I would follow you around, and you may look over your shoulder, you may feel someone's watching you, and you look over your shoulder and someone's there momentarily, then they disappear around the corner. That would make many of us feel uncomfortable. But because we're doing it digitally and electronically, we've lowered our guard. We've kind of given in to the trends and the patterns. I think that's going to be amplified in an AI world. And I'm not here to speak against AI. What I typically do with technology is I like to look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats.
With that said, Doctor, I'm looking online. According to several articles, 4.3 million records compromised by cyber breaches in April of this year. Yes. If you can give me 3 suggestions, tips, if you will, for people to protect their identity, their data, etc., just like 3 simple things, what would they be, Doctor?
So number 1 is awareness. One of the biggest challenges that most people undergo is a lack of awareness. An individual who has a lower sense of awareness feels a greater sense of control. They feel like they're in control of their data. They feel like, Facebook could not possibly be reusing my data in ways that I am not aware of. So I think that if people had a greater sense of awareness, they would be less willing to trade off their data. I would say probably a second thing that I would recommend is that you reduce your digital footprint. I could tell you right now, so there are many social media sites that exist. Back when I did my dissertation in 2011, there were more than a handful, and some of the ones that existed then no longer exist. But then there are ones that exist today that won't exist 10 years from now. So
say that.
So social networking and social media sites are not going to cease to exist. But there are individuals who feel like every time a new social media site comes on the horizon, they've got to be plugged into the latest and the greatest. Yeah, reduce your digital footprint. These devices, they track information at a number of levels that you could not imagine. And if you have I'm just going to say it, if you have the Meta app or the Facebook app on a mobile device, what you have consented to in the terms and agreement is you have consented to them turning your microphone on when they choose. You have consented to them if you put your phone in airplane mode, you have consented to them taking it out of airplane mode.
What do you say to me right now?
Yes, you've also consented to them taking a copy of every SMS message that you send or receive. You see, so that would be the second one. Is in terms of reducing your digital footprint, remove some apps off of the device. The final one, and the three that you would like for me to suggest, the final one that I would probably put out to you is to really, when it comes to this whole topic of AI, any type of a smart device that we're leveraging in our homes. Now, in the workplace is one thing, but in our homes is quite a different scenario. I think that the IoT devices, also known as Internet of Things, these devices can be very useful, but you should exercise a healthy level of concern or skepticism for any technology. I've been a technologist since I was 13, and I've seen many of them come and go, but I'm not the type of person to tell you to just open up the floodgates and just invite all of this stuff into your home, whether it's an Apple TV, whether it's an LG television. I have LG television, I have Apple TV, but you can go into these devices and you can really, assign policies. And the average person is not going to do this, and these companies know it. Most people will take something out of the box, they'll plug it in, what we call plug and play. They'll plug the stuff in, and the devices are listening. If you can say to your phone, Siri, what time is it? That means the phone is listening to you. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that your iOS devices or your Android devices are listening. The technology have been designed to listen.
Good point. That's a good point.
Let's just dispense with that side of the concern. They're listening. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now these companies have been forced to put more information in their disclosures, particularly LG, because LG was capturing lots of personal conversations in front of televisions. People having intimate conversations, having argumentative conversations, or whatever. These technologies all can be leveraged. And a smart television is just a computer that has a TV app on it.
Wow.
You can do it! I think the doc just did it by breaking that down for us.
Sure he did.
Doc,
Sure he did.
Sir, Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, your wealth of knowledge. Greatly appreciate you, brother. Greatly appreciate you.
Can I ask one last question before you go, Doc?
Absolutely.
Where do you see the representation of our community within your industry nowadays? You know, I go to this Black Tech Saturdays over here at New Lab, and I often wonder how many within the African American community are really getting into technology and reaching the heights such as yourself. I see that you are a CISSP, and I know that that's not easy. You know, so from your seat, how many or where do you see the representation from our community as it stands within the cyber space?
I'm still concerned. I feel like we still have not gotten the memo that not only the IT space, but then cybersecurity is a new frontier. And some of these conversations can really be contextualized. And I think, you know, I appreciate you asking that question. I had an experience so many years ago. I was standing at Lawrence Technological University in Southfield, teaching a course. And so I look around my classroom, and I was excited to be there, but I looked around my classroom and I was caught by what I was observing. The room was completely packed, but there wasn't a single African American there. There were a couple of people of color in the class from several parts of West Africa, which was great. And truthfully, they were some of my smartest students, period. But nonetheless, it occurred to me that from the position that I find myself in, I had to see how I could do more to impact my community and try to draw more African American men and women, boys and girls, into this space. And sadly, the spaces where we actually come together most are in our local churches and mosques. I had to go that route to try to reach out to the community to have this conversation, and that proved to be a bigger challenge that I could have ever imagined. But nonetheless, for 2 straight summers, I ran IT certification courses in the city of Detroit. The biggest challenge, though, was to get our people to see the importance and the value of that. Sometimes we say we want something, but we're not willing to put our money where our mouth is. And I'm not saying that in an overly critical fashion, but my observation, frankly, even to this very day, our presence in this space is abysmally small.
Wow.
And there needs to be a greater emphasis within our community to how important this is. If you have one student who can take, let's just say, a CompTIA Network Plus course and earn a certification, it could change their life.
Dr. Dillard, are there any organizations that people of color can reach out to that can join in order to get more into the tech industry? Like for me, example, I'm a journalist, so I joined NABJ, National Association of Black Journalists. I've been active with the organization since 2004, and that has been a tremendous outlet for me regarding my industry, people of color, and thereforth. Is there anything like that in the tech industry that people can seek out?
Yeah, but these organizations are not really just targeted at our community. I think what would probably be a really good playbook would be for more African Americans to just literally jump into this industry in vast numbers and just overtake some of these organizations. That was my philosophy when I became the founding president of one of these organizations. So there's the ISSA, which is the Information System Security Association. And there was a Detroit chapter, a Motor City chapter, North Oakland chapter, Grand Rapids chapter, and a Port Huron chapter. I was the founding president of the North Oakland chapter. So I encourage students anytime they're studying IT or cybersecurity to become a member of these organizations. One other that I will mention is the FBI InfraGard, which is actually the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And there are folks of us in the private sector who help them keep critical national infrastructure protected.
All right.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Doc, I so appreciate your time today. You have been a blessing to this recording, to this broadcast. And I want to do a follow-up with you at some point, have you come back on and kind of explain more in detail as we move along this trajectory of what's happening within the cybersecurity space, as well as AI. You know, I know that this is an unforeseen frontier for many of us, and at the same time, carrying the conversation about how can we get more individuals, like-minded individuals of underrepresented demographics into the space as well. So again, thank you, Dr. Dillard. Thank you for taking our time to have a conversation with us, and we look forward to talking to you again. Okay, sir?
Excellent. Outstanding. Thank you so much.
Great. That's what I'm talking about.
Sir, Dr. Terrance Dillard. A wealth of knowledge right there.
That's what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, first of all, Josh, let me just say, I just want to go back to being me.
There we go.
I just want to go back to being
Just
me.
be you. Just
I
be
just want to
you.
be like me.
Be who
I
you
just
are,
wanna be like
Karlos.
me.
Be who you are.
But here's a question.
Here was the question.
Do you think maybe the doctor knew that wasn't the real me?
Yes.
Do you think maybe?
Yeah.
Because I was AI Los for most of the show. Do you think that maybe he couldn't tell?
I think he could probably tell the difference. Just a tad bit.
I'm gonna have to check into that.
Okay, you converse with the doctor about that.
I'm gonna have to check into that.
But I think he was able to tell the difference just a tad.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
What do you think it was? The hair? Maybe it was the hair.
It was the hair.
The hair. Okay. That's what I was figuring. I was figuring it was probably my hair was going to be a dead giveaway because I haven't had a haircut this week. I'm just saying.
It was the hair gave it away.
It
Totally.
had to be the hair.
You have to be mindful of the hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, good stuff, man. Great show. I'll be virtual next week. I'll be in Traverse City at the Community Mental Health Association of Michigan receiving a media award. So I will be here next week, but virtually, and I'll tell you guys more about that as well. And everything else we're talking, tech. Yes, we will see you next week. But in the meantime, that will do it for the Tech School podcast powered by DSDT for AI Los, Karlos, and myself. See ya.